Welcome to Scrum Masters Elite_UK. Explore the All Blacks' identity and journey. Subscribe for more rugby analysis. What interests me most about the All Blacks under Dave Rennie is not simply how the New Zealand team is playing, but how they are trying to find the answer to a very important question: who are we really? According to Jeff Wilson, over the past decade, the All Blacks have sometimes focused too much on beating opponents at their own strengths. They wanted to match South Africa physically, compete with France technically, or go toe-to-toe with Ireland tactically. I think this is a very thought-provoking issue. A strong team does not necessarily have to beat its opponent using the opponent's best weapons. On the contrary, sometimes the most important thing is to force the opposition to deal with what you do best. The All Blacks have traditionally possessed very clear qualities: speed, physicality, skill, and the ability to create pressure. If those qualities form the foundation of their strength, then rediscovering their identity does not mean mechanically returning to the past. It means understanding their values again and using them in a more modern and intelligent way.
What I particularly agree with is the idea that you do not need to dominate your opponent in every aspect. When facing the Springboks, the All Blacks do not necessarily need to prove that they are stronger than South Africa in every area. What matters is maintaining balance in the key areas, then using their speed, skill, and ability to create pressure to make the difference. I believe this is a more realistic approach. In elite sport, no team can be absolutely superior in every area. You do not need to win every contest. You need to understand which contests matter most and know how to turn your strengths into an advantage. Muliaina's comments also made me think. He suggested that the All Blacks had sometimes tried to imitate the way other teams played instead of making the most of their own strengths. This is not something that happens only in sport.
In life, we can also easily look at someone else's success and try to become a version of them. But a method that works for someone else may not necessarily work for us. What I have learned is this: learn from others, but do not lose your own identity. That does not mean being conservative. Identity must go hand in hand with the ability to change. The All Blacks can retain their speed, physicality, and skill, but the way they use those qualities must become increasingly intelligent and flexible. I also paid close attention to James Parsons' comments about the pace of the game and the fatigue of opponents. When the tempo is increased, it does not simply create attacking opportunities. It can also weaken the opposition's organization. As a result, set-piece situations such as scrums and lineouts can become more favorable. This shows that a team's strength does not come from one isolated factor. Speed can create pressure, pressure can create mistakes, and mistakes can create opportunities. When these elements connect, a small advantage can become a major one. For All Black supporters, I think what is needed right now is both expectation and perspective. Do not quickly treat one victory as proof that every problem has disappeared. But at the same time, do not dismiss the entire process because of one defeat.
A team needs time to rebuild its identity. What matters is how they play, how they correct their mistakes, and how they respond when facing strong opponents. I believe supporters have every right to be disappointed, ask questions, and demand improvement from the team. But responsible support does not mean defending the team at all costs. It means recognizing both strengths and weaknesses fairly, and for me personally, the biggest lesson from this story is very simple. We do not need to be better than everyone else at everything. We need to understand where we are strong, where we are weak, and how to use our advantages at the right moment. Learning from others is necessary, but copying others does not always lead to success. Change is necessary, but change does not mean losing yourself. Perhaps that is also what the All Blacks are trying to rediscover.
Not becoming South Africa, not becoming France, not becoming Ireland, but becoming the best version of the All Blacks themselves. If Dave Rennie can help the team retain its speed, physicality, skill, intelligence, and ability to create pressure, while also finding the right balance against major opponents such as the Springboks, I believe that could provide a valuable foundation for the road ahead, because ultimately, sport is not just about winning, it is also about identity, adaptation, and the ability to stand firm under pressure. A strong team is not a team that never loses its way. It is a team that knows who it is, recognizes when it is going in the wrong direction, and has the character to find its way back. And that is also the lesson I want to keep for myself: learn from others, but do not forget what you have. Change when necessary, but do not change simply because you want to become someone else. In sport, just as in life, sometimes our greatest strength does not lie in how well we can imitate others, but in how well we understand and make the most of who we truly are.
Thanks for watching. Stay true to your game. learn, adapt, and keep pushing forward. Subscribe to Scrum Masters Elite _UK.